Hey everyone, today I wanted to do another creepypasta for you because you really liked the last one. So let's get started, shall we? Intervention. To tell you the truth, I need to drink. I would have a hard day at work and I would go to the bar to let alcohol wash away my thoughts. It was cathartic. My daughter, wife, and friends would always lay into me when I got home for stinking of alcohol. They would bitch at me, saying that I just wasn't the person they thought I was when I went out drinking, and I could be such a better person. They would always be lying and wait for me when I got home. I would walk through the door and find a group of my family and friends waiting for me. They would always ambush me with prepared letters about how my drinking made them feel, which of course was always bullshit. As they didn't give me an appropriate time to form my own argument to theirs, there wasn't much I could do under their relentless assault. I'd always let them cry and rage against me. Afterwards, I would tell them that I would change and find the strength to quit. A few weeks later, I would down a fifth of Jack Daniels and wash away my thoughts. At the process, would again. They would organize another meeting. I would keep making empty promises because I knew it was better than the alternative. When I was sober, I'd keep imagining them on hooks, pleading and begging for sweet release. I'd imagine their flesh and how it would be so appealing to slice open, tear apart. They want me to quit drinking, but without it, I keep imagining the end. I'd imagine how they would plead and how they would taste. I think this last intervention really stuck. I feel like myself again. Bed of roses. Tonight I came home from the fragrant smell of roses. It only took a few minutes of investigating to find the source of the smell. My bed was covered in a vibrant crimson color that made my heart skip a beat. It was completely hidden under a layer of rose petals. There was a candle in the dresser, and its light illuminated the message. I am yours, and you are mine. I love you, and I want to do something that will take your breath away. It was a very romantic gesture. It would have been more romantic had I not been single for the past 3 years. It would have been romantic had the message not been written in crimson as well. Now I smell that iron odor in every corner of my house. My heart is beating, like it is about to rip out of my chest. I can only wonder what they meant by wanting to do something that would take my breath away. The stars. I had been wandering around this cave for hours. I had gotten separated from the tour guide and spent the last 4 hours wandering around the darkness. I had started the tour around 3, which meant, according to my internal clock, that it was around 7 or 8. The sun would be setting and the forest would become just as dark as it was in the cave. I wandered around in the darkness with my hand on the wall of the cave. I was certain that if I stuck on this path, that I would eventually come to the mouth of the cave. After another hour of bumbling around in the darkness, I found my way out of the cave. It was a moonless night, but I could see the stars in the sky. I wept with relief as I looked up to those beacons of light. There were thousands of them up there. I watched in wonder as they winked out of existence, only to reappear seconds later. I watched this phenomenon in confusion. It took a few seconds for me to come up with my answer. These weren't stars winking and blinking into and out of existence. They were eyes, and they were drawing closer to me. You tried. You tried to ignore him, but he kept talking. He had been leaning up against the wall to prevent falling over when you walked by him. You tried to convince yourself that he didn't know what he was saying, or who he was saying it to. but he kept insulting you. You tried to control your temper, but your patience began to wear thin. You tried to imagine what you could do to him. He was drunk, and he wouldn't be alone to defend himself. You could easily overpower him and pin him to the ground while punching, gouging, and biting at his exposed flesh. He would scream as you hooked your fingers into the orbit, obliterating his eyes, while you sank your teeth into his cheek and tore flesh free. You tried to quell those thoughts. They wouldn't get you anywhere, and it was all said and done. He'd still be bothering you. You tried to cross the street, but he followed you. He didn't like being ignored, and now he wanted an apology from you, threatening him like he wasn't there, like he wasn't a human being. You tried to lose him by ducking into an alley, but he drunkenly shambled after you. You tried to tell yourself that you were attempting to get away, and weren't actually luring him away from prying eyes. You lost it when he caught up to you and shoved you. You tried to stop yourself. You really did. You tried.